Hello, my name is Chuck Ross, and we're playing Minecraft Bedrock for the last time. That's right, this is the last time I'm posting a Minecraft Bedrock video from this server because we're starting a new server on Java. Sorry, I had to do the clickbait title, you know it. Please don't downvote my video just because of that. Stay tuned. But I just wanted to make a last episode showing everything that I've kind of done. So this is kind of like a very, very mini area world tour. So I guess we'll just get into it. So I have, obviously, I think I'm going to start from the place that we, the most recent to furthest past, right? That's how you'd say that. So we have this cart, which is comically large. And I believe the video is called a comically large cart or something similar. I went ahead and finished the floor around it, or the ground. I was talking to Square after I built this, and I was saying that, I kind of was tempted to put a Ravager in here, because it feels like this is the kind of cart that a Ravager or two would pull, but obviously that probably wouldn't have been a great idea to have in the middle of a town full of villagers, but he did agree with me that it looks like it would be the perfect size for that. So in the back here, we have a couple of things. I decided to just, put some random stuff in there. So pumpkins, melons, and hay bales. I probably would have, I don't know, added like barrels or something, but unfortunately the villagers on this version are a little wonky, so I would probably not do that. I really do wish that I had been able to put a cover on this. I think that would have just looked so cool. But I think having like the produce, actually spilling out almost, I think is a good touch. So from here, I would say we have this tent here, which was a fun thing. It went up kind of slowly, probably, just because figuring out the angle that fabric is supposed to drape in this kind of way is not fun, and unfortunately it's not like a process that I could show over and over again, just like, place down 5 pieces of wool, step back, stare at it for 5 minutes, and then say, nope, that's not right, and then tear it down and try something slightly different. Overall, I think it looks kind of fantastic, actually. This was, for trading with villagers and things, and it worked out for the week and a half that I was able to use it. That's about it for this. I like all the little touches around here. I like the llamas, they're cool. I think next is actually the farm back here, which I think, aside from the pumpkin and melon part, I'm pretty sure I did all of this off camera now that I think about it. The ground was, honestly, I really shouldn't have put it off, because, I put on like a new anime or something and basically just knocked it out in a couple episodes. And I'm pretty happy with it. I like that it actually looks used. I think, again, if I were to do this again, which I'm sure I will at some point, probably very soon actually, I think what I would do is kind of bring in some light posts and then actually have them strung together kind of down the hill. Maybe a generator somewhere. That'd be kind of cool. Just bring that little bit of extra life to it. That would have been fun. I did actually, I'm a man of my word, I did actually finish the pumpkin patch dirt, which I think I had to make more of the coarse dirt, but I ran completely dry of the rooted dirt, which was an experience. Next time I will just fly around until I find a one of those, what is that tree? The tree thing over the mossy cave thing. I will just go to one of those and I will dig it all up from there, because that's significantly easier. I do love these pumpkins and melons. They are fantastic. If I ever do, or I should say next time I do a pumpkin patch or melon patch, I'm 100% doing this. I think it just looks so good. I love it so much. As far as the walls go, it's one of those little it has to get done, but there's really nothing to talk about with it. So, I would place down a regular block every, I don't know, 2 jumps while I'm running around the perimeter, and then I would come back and I would add another block next to it, and then I would slowly kind of fill it in that way, which is probably not the easiest way to do it, but it worked out. It is actually functional at keeping mobs out. Keeping mobs in is not as important. I really just wanted mobs not to like wander in from, off the hill and trample my crops. So yeah, it's functional. Next, I think is the silos, which I love. One thing that I think is interesting, and it's incredibly hard to tell, especially since I covered them in vines. But this first one down here is the one that I started with. And what I ended up doing with that was I would go in and do like my normal breakout pattern, which I think looks fine, don't get me wrong. But what I found that I liked doing a little bit more was actually trying to use the shading blocks to sort of show where in specific areas. So as an example, what I was trying to do, and I don't know how well it actually came across, but I guess because I was looking for it, that was kind of in my mind already, so I was, more attuned to that. But what I was trying to do was add areas where the water had run off specifically and caused a lot more damage, I guess, to the paint job. So I would kind of focus in those areas. And then like the lantern here, I would have, in my head, I'm thinking, well, the water's going to run down that, and that's going to pull the color sort of off in a weird direction. So I try to do like splotches around that. And overall, I think they both look good. And if you aren't actually looking for that kind of texturing, especially on a scale like this, I think it's kind of hard to notice, but I like the way I think it looks to me. So that's all that really matters, I guess. Yeah, so I did the little paths here then, and I think the silos is when I decided to try using the mangrove for the end of the vines. And let me tell you, that is an absolute game changer. I love it. It's fantastic. It's so good. I'm going to do that every time I do vines from now on. There's going to be a whole lot of that. Every time I do this one thing, it's going to be this way. In here, obviously, we got some melons and pumpkins. Probably not going to bother showing you the farms, though, because it's just a pumpkin and melon farm. Next up, we have the barn, which I'm also very proud of. You're going to hear that a lot, probably. Hopefully, I'm proud of all the things I built. One thing I did want to say, since we're in this area now, I went ahead and just kind of made a path, because I wanted to, like, once I knew that we were starting a new world, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Once we decided on that, I wanted to, like, finish the project itself. Like, I'm not going to, like, start a new one and, do that for the last episode. I figured might as well just do, like, a single world tour. But I decided I wanted to finish the path, extend this out a little bit more, finish the pumpkin patch, do the dirt over there. Just little stuff like that. So, with the barn, I found out that picking red terracotta as the base block for this barn makes your choices of texture blocks very limited. And that's because the kind of red that it is, there's not a whole lot of other blocks that have a similar hue. The only ones that I was really able to like find that I was comfortable with were really the mangrove. If I wanted to stretch it any further, I could have maybe thrown like netherrack at it, but that just was a little too much. So yeah, originally I was going to have villagers in here. I think I was going to put them up here. And then I was going to have a whole bunch of farms in, on the ground floor, and then probably in a sub-basement and things. And I was going to have all of that making stuff so that I could trade with the villagers up there. And that's going pretty well. That one was fun. Super simple, super straightforward. I had some problems with the minecart, but it is what it is. Honestly, I don't think I could have figured it out even on Java. Of course, attached to the barn is the little animal shed thing. Yeah, I used to have a cow crusher in there until I found out that cow crushing isn't a thing on Bedrock, which is cool. This is annoying because the vines keep growing and then the villagers, the cows keep getting out. Other than that, I just try to make it look muddy. I don't know what else to say about that. Next up, we have probably one of the oddest builds I think I've ever tried to do. And that is this giant stump with a bee farm in it. And let me tell you, stumps are not my thing. But for me, I knew that I wanted a bee farm, but I didn't need, 16. I didn't need a huge industrial level amount of bee farm. I just needed a couple that I could get whenever I needed some. So that's why I was like, okay, well, I should probably prioritize the form over the function, especially in this case. Because, like I said, beeswax and honey, not really like a hot commodity for me. So this was a pain and a half to try to figure out how to do the roots here. As far as the trunk itself, that was probably the easiest part, because it's just, okay, well, what size do I need? And then with these, I found that adding this to make it look like the bark had peeled off was kind of a cool touch. And then honestly, it was just throw little extra things at it until it looked overgrown but finished. Like, I could have kept going. I'm sure I could have found something else to add, like another mushroom or a giant flower sticking out of the top or something, but I think this was a good place to stop it. I gotta say, I love these tiny little mushrooms. They're so good. From here, we go to my tower up there. So this tower is the same spot that my original starter base was built on. And I originally wanted to keep it kind of similar, but then I realized that that was just not going to work. So I changed the block palette a little bit and then brought it all the way up and put a giant wooden structure on top. I'm still not entirely sure what I was going for with building this, but I think it turned out pretty well. As far as what's in here, not a whole lot. I will say, what I do have in here are these little guys, which we picked up in a mansion a couple thousand blocks away. And of course, the tower itself leads us to the little Tudor-style house, which I'm very happy with. It's one of my favorite styles to build in because I think it's just one of those that I've built so many of them that I kind of feel like I can just, I don't know, throw one up fairly fast. I've only actually decorated one room, and I think I only ever come in here to look out the windows occasionally. This one never got anything done to it, which is a shame. This, obviously, the storage room. I'm sure you've seen that before. Buried treasure maps. It took me quite a while. Fun fact, on Bedrock, treasure chests can be under rock. So if you're at the right spot, keep digging a little bit, because you might end up finding it anyway. Got this extra little storage space for when this one started filling up a little too much. I started moving all of my metals down here. I had a little super smelter thing going on. Super smelter is probably the wrong word for it. Actually, how much XP do I have in here? Probably not much. Also, that all went to my tools and stuff. Okay. Well, I have been keeping extra little bits of armor and tools and all of that. Now, I have a stupid amount of tridents. And apparently that's just a thing for Bedrock. I used to have villagers in here. They are now gone. I liked these guys. They were a nice little touch. I might do those again at some point. Which leads us to the tea kettle with a mustache. I think that's probably one of the funniest accidents I think I made. Because I started off just building a little house here. I decided I wanted a little roof there, and then I decided the chimney, and then I was like, oh, yep, I have made a tea kettle. That's great. Which, honestly, I think it was great. I think it was a nice little character. It would have been really funny if I kept up the kitchen appliance motif going through, but that didn't happen. This is where I've done my enchanting. I have a lava pool under here for my furnaces back over there. And I've got this guy who I've traded, what, maybe 5 times with? Maybe? Maybe a little more. Okay. And then this is the original guy, Blueberry. Still holding my golden carrot for me. Thank you so much. One more for the road. Aw, thanks. Yeah, as far as palettes go, this one I feel is very safe. It's something that I'm very comfortable in. It's absolutely in my lane. And while it's nothing special to write home about, I really do love that chimney, I will say. While there's nothing particularly, impressive about it, I think it's nice. I like it. Next up, we have the thing that started it all, this farm that I have been using to this day, and this little thing over here, which every time I find more flowers and things, I add them to the little area here. So as an example, obviously, I needed some nether wart, and I didn't want to make a new farm for it. So it's like, I'll just throw them under the water spout. Really nothing special. I threw some rocks in to kind of shape the river or waterfall or whatever. And that is pretty much, I gotta be honest, I think that's all she wrote. I like the little path. That's very nice. My brain isn't used to it, so it still can't quite decide if it likes it or not, but it's good. And that's about it. It has been an absolute blast experiencing Bedrock, and I cannot wait to do something else. So the reason that we're calling this over is maybe this is a bad place to do a talk. We were on Discord, and Square was like, I noticed that, everyone else playing on the server is a Java player. So why don't we make a Java server instead? Eventually we're just like, yeah, that sounds good. So we decided to start that up, and before we knew it, we had a new server going. So I don't know when everyone else is posting their stuff, but it should be coming out probably this week. I gotta say, Square is an absolute beast at grinding things out. He will just go. It is fantastic to watch him just do things. Because I'll be, and if you watch any of the older videos from this series, that was a pretty common thing of like, oh, I put out one video a week and then he's got like an entire town built up. It was kind of insane. But look at this horse. Like, what? It's so good. This entire arena, it's so good. It's huge. It's massive. And then he has the compasses. He actually just made a compass. It's kind of crazy. Actually, now that I think about it, that reminds me, I have a map to update. In my little forging area, I have a little map of my little area, and I think it would be fun to update it one last time. Before, after. So as I was saying, we will be starting the new server on Java, and I think there might be a video out already. I don't know. You will have to check the description for the other players to see if they've posted something. It is going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to start. I already know the style that I want to build in, and it's going to be very different than what I'm used to. So that will be a lot of fun to try, and probably kind of nerve-wracking now that I think about it. It has been an absolute blast getting used to playing Bedrock and actually enjoying it. I've always heard horror stories of like the Bedrock Wither is like the worst thing ever. And it was, really just a lot of fun. It was hard, but it had like stages and there was like rhyme and rhythm to it, and it didn't just fly up into the sky as high as it could get. That was cool. Being able to say that I've beaten the Ender Dragon, I've beaten the game on Bedrock and Java, that's kind of cool to say. Honestly, just experiencing it was just cool. Because, I don't know, I've always had this assumption about how, like, they're basically two different games. And that was probably just, my end of, like, I've seen gameplay footage, but I've never, like, experienced it myself, so I didn't know how different or similar they really are. And, honestly, aside from the minor oddities that are different between the two of them, they're basically the same game. Yeah, it's definitely been a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to do the next part, to open the next chapter or the next book, because this is the last chapter of Bedrock. New book of Java servers, right? That sounds right. I think I probably ought to stop rambling and say, look out for the other members of the server, because one of them probably has a video out today, gonna be honest, and it's probably gonna be really good and a lot of fun, so I highly recommend checking it out. In the meantime, I have been Chuck Ross. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.